Can I call you back in a bit?" He glanced at the clock. He had absolutely no concept of time after traveling the past day. It was late in England. "Or tomorrow?" He got up and buzzed the door to let Mike in. "You're always so busy, but that's a good thing, I suppose. We're so proud of you, even though we wish you hadn't moved so far away." 5 years ago, he'd taken an internship with a production company in L.A. It had been just what he needed to get his foot in the door in the television capital of the world.
"Mom, you know I couldn't pass up that opportunity."
Another sigh. "Of course I do. I just hoped you would have come home by now." She laughed, and he knew she wasn't really upset. She missed him, but she understood why he'd decided to pursue his producing dreams in Hollywood. There was no better place to be in this industry. "Call tomorrow, but in the afternoon I have my garden club meeting in the morning." He'd still be sleeping during her morning. In fact, he hoped he'd be sleeping during her afternoon, too.
"Will do," he said. "Say hi to Dad."
"I will, sweetheart. Love you."
"Love you, too."
He ended the call as a rap sounded on the door. Sean didn't bother summoning a smile as he opened the door. Mike wouldn't have noticed anyway. He pushed inside with a, "Hey." No, "Welcome home," or "How was your trip?" Just, "Hey."
"Hey," Sean replied. "I just got home."
Mike walked over to the granite-topped bar, nodded toward the beer, and said,
"You got another one of those?" "Sure."
Sean, his nerves on edge, went to the fridge and grabbed another from the six-pack he'd bought on the way home. He popped the cap off and slid it over to Mike.
"You couldn't have just called?"
Mike lifted his bottle.
"I was in the neighborhood."
Like hell. Sean's apartment in West Hollywood was nice enough for a guy starting out in L.A., but it was a good half hour from Mike's house in Brentwood.
"Anyway, I needed to see you in person. The shoot in Europe was a disaster."
Sean swallowed.
"Are you here to fire me?"
"No." He took another drink of beer.
"Not yet, anyway."
Sean's gut clenched. He needed this job, much as he might dislike Dale, the owner of the company. It was a necessary step to gaining experience and saving enough money to start his own production company, but that was still a long way off. Mike clanked his bottle down on the counter and pressed his lips together.
"Dale doesn't love what you came back with. It's rough,"
Sean said, trying not to be defensive. They'd done the best they could, given all the problems they'd encountered.
"There's a lot of footage. I'm sure we'll come up with something Dale will like."
Dale was a giant prick who didn't seem to know what he wanted. He changed his mind during projects, demanded impossible results, and never seemed to be satisfied.
Unlikely, but I'll let him know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I have something else I need you to do. I need you to go to Oregon."
Bollocks. Sean would rather jump right back on a plane to Europe and the shit-fest he'd just left than go to Oregon. But maybe, just maybe, Mike didn't mean what Sean thought he meant. Portland had a rousing film and television scene. There could be any number of projects in need of his services.
"Why?"
Mike readjusted his sunglasses atop his dark blonde head.
"Dale came up with an idea he's completely in love with, and you're the man to make it happen. He wants a Where Are They Now special about the Archers. Following up on the sextuplets America fell in love with 15 years ago is a great angle, but since one of them committed suicide, he thinks it's ratings gold."
Sean's stomach dropped into his feet.
"I am not the man to make this happen, Mike."
In fact, he was about the last man who could make it happen. Mike leaned his hip against the counter and crossed his arms.
"Why not? You're married to one of the sisters. You have the perfect in."
Yeah, they were married, but for how long? The last time he'd talked to his wife, via email of course, she'd mentioned the D word. Sean hadn't responded. He'd hoped they'd find a way to make it work, but after so many months apart, piss-poor communication, and then her suggestion that they just call it quits, he wasn't sure he had any fight left in him.
"It's not been much of a marriage. In fact, we're probably splitting up."
Hell, they'd been split up since their wedding day. He'd seen her once, visiting her in San Francisco before he'd left for Europe, only to have her shut him out cold.
"If it's not much of a marriage, why is her picture on your fridge?"
Mike nodded toward a photo of Tori at the wedding chapel in Vegas. God, she was beautiful. Her auburn hair hung to her breasts in gentle waves that she'd painstakingly curled before the ceremony, and her blue-green eyes shone with anticipation. Getting married had been a lark, but they'd both agreed it had felt right. And it had. Until the next morning.
"Because